You are listening to Level Up Your Gaming Podcast, episode 56, Improving Your Locations. Today we talk about improving your locations. We discuss how to make the mundane locations more vibrant. We also discuss some tools to add details to these locations that make a random inn an extraordinary inn. If you'd like to participate in the discussion or leave us feedback, you can contact us at levelupyourgamingpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. If you like the content and want to hear more of the show, subscribing will ensure you don't miss an episode. New episodes come out almost every Wednesday. Also, please review, tell a friend about the podcast, or share with your gaming group. Now sit back and enjoy the episode. Welcome into the Level Up Your Gaming Podcast. My name is Aaron, and joining me in person, he'll make an inn look like Buckingham Palace, Jared.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, listen, okay? You try to come up with these every week.
Sorry.
Okay,
I'll stop insulting those. I apologize, because you do work hard to make those every week. So, I Buckingham Palace. Now, writing Buckingham Palace into a story, man, that takes detail. So, but I can ascertain from our opening what our topic is.
Sure. But before we get to that, because, I put so much mystery around
it.
How are you doing, Jared?
Not bad. I've been home for actually almost a month now, which is shocking for me. Of course, this happened after the holiday seasons, not during the holiday seasons. And it's really nice to be home. I'm still working hard. I still work a billion hours a week, but there's something about coming home to your wife, to your bed, to a home cooked meal. It's.
I can tell just from being around you that it's definitely changed your.
Your
person, your demeanor in general. I mean, again, traveling sucks.
And doing it constantly and, consistently just bites. But you know what? Like, I do have some travel coming up. I got my marching orders, but my marching orders are well in advance and it's only for a week. So I'm like, no, that's not bad, comparatively to, hey, we need you at this location for 3 weeks and we need you leaving next week. Like, that shtick's kind of getting old.
Well, I'm glad to have you back around. Selfishly, it does make the podcast easier. And two, it makes you a more, I can just tell just the stress is definitely off.
It's interesting too, because when you're at home, this is bad. When I am at home, I am able to disconnect from work. It's not bad, I guess. I'm able to disconnect from work more thoroughly when I get home. I get home. Typically, my wife works 2 jobs, so she's usually working. But but
the line isn't blurred.
The line isn't blurred. It's not like you're going back to a hotel where there's nothing to do, so you have nothing to think about. I have a very nice gaming laptop, and I can get on there. But there's just something to be said about being able to just come home to your nice comfy chair, because there's nothing comfortable about hotel rooms.
No, not really.
Like, you really have to work hard at being a traveler to make a hotel room your own. Like, yeah, you got to have tricks. You got to have a lot of tricks to make hotel rooms your own. And fortunately, I've learned them all, most of them at least. If somebody else got one out there, I'm more than happy to.
Well, you're becoming a better seasoned traveler.
I am. Though there is one plus side of the whole thing. I don't know if I ever addressed this in the podcast, but I used so everyone knows who listens to the podcast that I have OCD. One of my OCD things did center around airports. I had not planes. I'm not afraid of flying. Like, I love to fly. I love looking down at little towns and imagining I am their god. I have no problem with airplanes. I have problems with airports. I don't know what it is about them. My wife, being a therapist, has tried to dive deep into what happened that I hate airports so much. But now that I have lived in airports, I've gotten through the fear of your flight's been canceled. You have to wait here another 3-4 hours. BT dubs, you're not allowed to enter the gate terminal because you can only enter the gate terminal 2 hours before your flight. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
You said that you found a trick for it, though. So.
I mean, like you know what the trick is find a location that you're comfortable, that you can get comfortable. You know, that's really the trick. Don't like, oh man, yada yada, and I'm just gonna sit here where I'm not comfortable. No, you have to make your own safety bubble, and that's what I did. I found an outlet that was in a service hallway. It was a service hallway, and I just plopped down with my laptop. I found an outlet. I was comfy sitting up against the wall. I spread out my things so I could sit there and do stuff and not be overburdened, and it was really very successful. I sat in the middle of the O'Hare service hallway for 4 or 5 hours.
Well, there you go. I mean,
I got a lot of work done. I did. But yeah, no, it was very effective.
Oh, well, that's good. So, anyways, now that my mystery topic, we're gonna reveal it here in just a second. But actually, I do want to give a shout out to Gary. After the 52nd episode, you sent us this very, very nice email, and you sent us a very nice comment. Give us some very nice comments on the Facebook page. I know that you've listened to all 52, so thank you very much for listening. We're giving you good stuff and good content. You want to keep listening,
Gary. We really did appreciate the letter, and it was nice to hear from somebody else in the industry. It was a very sweet letter, and we really appreciate it. And I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. That was pretty awesome, man. Thank you.
So two of the things that came out of Gary's email was one of his questions was a topic suggestion, which is what we're going to cover today, which is improving your locations to make them meaningful. And then another one was a question on random events, and we're going to do a topic on that in the future, probably in a couple podcasts, and we'll get to that one as well, because we thought that, hey, that deserves more kind of diving into as well.
It does.
But the first question was, how do you make, an inn, which, players might just stay over randomly, or any other location that the players might just step into randomly, more meaningful or, more eventful?
Okay, so first off, this is a noble endeavor. It really is, because I feel, excuse me, I feel a lot of GMs just kind of like, you walk into an inn, and they expect the players to mystically create in their mind's eye the image of an inn. Now, the image of the inn, if you say inn to me, I see large wooden, I pretty much flash to a image from The Witcher of what an inn looks like, literally from the video game, not from the TV show. Okay, thatch roof, bar, cool, got it, all right. But you know what? It's one thing about it is what's that separates an inn. The first thing you need to look at is this intent to be a long-term or short-term location for my players? Is this an inn that you're going to visit frequently? Do I have it kind of planned out where they're going to keep being at this inn and being at this inn? Is this going to be their home base for, this 5 sets of stories? Is this inn going to become something? And even if the answer is no, doesn't mean that you don't put more oomph into it. It simply means that you don't spend as much time putting the oomph into it. Because remember, we always talk about, we don't always, we talk about spending our time wisely. What is your effectivity of work? If it is an inn that I'm like, the players I kind of want them to have an inn, but I don't know if they're going to pick this inn or the inn in, Aaron, give me a fantasy village name generator.
Galera.
The inn in Galera. Are they going to pick Space Point 7, which is a space station? Which inn are they going to pick? I don't know. So the trick is to start small. If you're unsure, or if you are not going to push that agenda and the players are going to push the agenda, start small. When they enter, the great thing about inns is 90% of them had like shields hanging above their thing, little, I'm not sure if that's historically accurate. I'm not a medieval historian. I was a modern. I studied modern history. But even if it isn't historically accurate, to an extent, it is still something that is in the common eye. We still see it in London pubs. They have their little shield hanging out front. Do something with the shield. You guys, instead of just heading to the Winterfrost Inn, right? When they look up, just write the shield that you look up at, is bright red with a two-headed goat. Interesting. Give a little bit about the two-headed goat. Less than 10 seconds. Why do they have a two-headed goat? Maybe the answer from the attendants is because the inn's been around so long, we have no clue what it has a two-headed goat. You'd have to ask the owner. Well, if you have that player who's like, I'm going to ask that freaking owner. I'm going to ask him so freaking hard. Oh, my God. Be prepared for them to chase down the owner, so be prepared on why there's a two-headed goat in their family shield or in their tavern shield. If you don't have that player who's just going to be like, oh, two-headed goat, cool. Put that in the back of my mind. Two-headed goat, red shield outside the Frostwind Tavern. I don't know. But then it's just a little pinnacle point, just a little boop. Like here's something. And that's really because, we all know I have a thing with Matt Mercer. All of our listeners know it. I love him and I hate him. I think he's done great work, really opening up people to learn more about Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing and tabletop role-playing in general. I think he has done really great things for our community and giving us a lot of positive publicity. God dang it, he just raises the expectations too high. That SOB sits around all day just writing this stuff for a living. Like, a living.
I mean, that's true. I mean, you can't make everything. You can't put vibrancy and life in everything, and you're not going to touch every pillar, every trellis, every name your architectural piece, that you're going to have in the inn in the future. But Jared's right. Give it. Look at one of your suggestions was to look at pictures of old inns and be able to say, like, when you're in it, that this is what the inn sort of looks like. Be able to kind of give that kind of mental picture of what the inn would look like. And then you have the two-headed goat thing, which is a curiosity piece.
It's curiosity.
Or there's a banner with a crest on it that's got the two-headed goat. Okay?
There's a helmet that's been clearly cleaved in half by an axe. Why is that sitting above the fireplace?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to have your players ask questions. And like I said, if you're going to put it out there, and your players are the curious types to ask questions, use it to drive lore, or use it to drive a side story, or your actual story. You can use it for so many different little sprinklings in there, and you can say that different places around the way have it. I think that's always a great way to do it, but make sure you have an answer for it. Like
that's where so many storytellers get trapped. Is they create these little awesome pieces of lore. That's where they get trapped in the starting of making unique locations. Is they create a little pop item, the crest or whatever, and then they have no background to it, and then the players ask about it, and then it's like wah, 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 and suddenly that lore became silly. It becomes silly. It becomes stupid.
You don't want to have the pop items show up and the players start asking about them, and then you have nothing to back up and substantiate the pop items. And what's really good is that you can effectively say, like, these are the items that I'm going to create. Create the items independent of the location.
Yeah.
And just insert them in the random locations. Meaning, I've already done all the back work. I already know all the details I want you to get out of the item. I can put it into any location now. So you do a stopover, and it's there. And your players are going to look at you like you're a freaking wizard.
Like they're going to think that you somehow predicted that they would walk into, I don't know, Sadie's Inn and knew all this stuff and spent hours working on it. You are going to look like a wizard. that being said, so other things that you can do kind of quick, because my thing is I do enjoy a good location setting and setting that thing up. The thing is that I use a lot of maps. I love having maps. So one of the things that's good to do now, let's say you're mostly participating in Theater of the Mind, because the objective is not to have a tactical map. Okay, the objective is not the fight here. The objective is how do I make my inn more unique, more something rather than bleh. Having a map actually helps you to better describe the location. You would think it not. Most people would think like, well, there's a bar over to the right. And then you stop and you make that pause because you're literally coming up with the map in your head. Automatically, your players, and this is a storyteller, I guess, notice. There are so many times that we pause when we're coming up with stuff on the fly that immediately our players know it's not important because we didn't come up with it ahead of time.
Yes, that is such a danger.
It's especially NPCs.
This is a side point. Okay, it happens with NPCs. It'll happen with locations. It'll happen with all sorts of different stuff, where you end up trying to come up with it on the fly and trying to think about it, and you're like, damn it, they now know that this isn't important. Okay, our famous joke, because we use an online tool, is Roll20.
We use Roll20.
Is that if Jared doesn't have the location or the NPC, that the NPC or the location is completely unimportant. And it's like, sometimes you get a little bit of time to wiggle it in. I've done some masterful things.
Yeah, I've been like, sitting there. People can't see me fake typing. But like, I'll sit there and start pounding away on my keyboard real quick while they're, I don't know, making a joke about something, and literally load in the description, create the character, and real quick and be like, haha, he is important. And that's just a pure way to stress yourself out.
A good way to make things, like I said, you want to have kind of that predefined list going in, kind of knowing some generic elements that might make up a bar. So if you have like a list of things that would make up an inn, you could even do it like a random table of different elements that make up an inn.
Yes, you could.
And if you did it that way, all of your inns would seem purposeful in a way, because they would have the description in Theater of the Mind. Like, you could just be like, I got 5 columns. Okay, this describes the type of bar I've got. This describes the type of patrons I have, and this describes, what the innkeeper is, and this describes this. And you just look at it, just click, 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 boom, I've got an inn. And so when somebody says, what does this thing look like? Well, it's got this, and it's got this, and it's got this. And they're like,
whoa, dude. But making maps for small locations is fantastic. Now, when I say making a map, please do not think that I am like, all right, break out the ruler. It's 5 feet to the door, and this. No, what I mean is a really scratch map. I'm talking you make a square. Whether or not this is in your notebook, whether or not this is in your online system like Roll20. It's a map that your players don't even see, right? It is just quick, dirty map. Door in the back, door in the front, windows all along this side, bar over here, fireplace over here, darkened corner over here. Why? Because it starts setting up an environment that you can start to fill. The problem is that so many people try to fill the pop in a space of nothingness. I don't even know what the bar looks like, but I tell you that there's an ancient warrior headdress above the fireplace. Huh? But I myself don't know what the bar even looks like. So mapping it out is actually one of the first things that I do if I want the potential for the location to become more of something. I map it out in my mind.
Be prepared to draw out something quick.
Yeah, just a scratch on a sticky note.
A sticky note, or like I said, just have your quick description of what the place looks like. Because again, your players don't know that you built the inn to look this way. It's just got to have the elements, and it's got to sound like a place looks like something. Okay, and remember, any blank board suffices as a room.
Yeah, there you go.
At the end of the day, if like something leads to an encounter or a combat, like any blank board, you can place pieces along that blank board to represent the room.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's kind of the illusion that this place means more. So, pop, having random kind of pieces, mapping it out is really great. I find that mapping it out is kind of like one of my first steps if I want it to be something sometime, somewhere, maybe. And I'm talking about your most basic maps. Okay? After you do that, okay, so this is going to sound military-ish. After we've worked the outside, right? So after we've got our map, we know where things are in space, right? After that, we are going to ascertain the outside of the building, okay? We're going to make sure, like, okay, is the building clean, dirty? Is it made of brick? Is it made of wood? Is it literally, in the ground? Is it literally been cut out of the ground, out of a hillside or whatever? So once we've got the outside, then we work our way in, right? And the thing is, you can be very brief, very quick with this. It's a brick building, or stone building, and for each layer, you might want to add little things, right? So my outside, it's a stone building with a red door. Oh, curious. All right, cool. Red door. Check. Now I'm moving internal again because I've got my map and I've got where things are in space. Interior, walls are still stone. So, okay, walls are still stone. Bar is huge because I look at my little map. My bar is freaking huge. So clearly this is a place where more people drink than they eat. Or maybe I didn't even put a kitchen in my little map. Well, guess what? You can edit your map. Okay, scratch that real quick. Add an add-on to the back of this building, and boom, kitchen. So you go ahead and do that, and then you add in a little pop at the interior. Okay, so fireplace is, elegantly carved with elven runes. Why is it carved with elven runes? Now I go into that. Okay, I've got a little bit of interior. Maybe the columns are all marble. I don't know what, is exactly what Aaron suggested. Maybe some random things that you already know the history of. But once you've done that, now you've established an outside with the uniqueness, and inside with the uniqueness. And now you can really start diving in and adding stuff. Now, remember, we're keeping on time here. So at this point, if you're like, this place might become something, make sure that your pop items all have explanations, okay? I'm talking 2 sentences. I'm not talking a paragraph. I don't want a 5-page essay on why the door is red. The door is red because the owner likes red. Or it's easier to clean off the blood. Actually, it wouldn't make it insanely difficult because you're not sure what's paint and what's blood. That would be a horrible choice. Terrible decision. So you just can't see the blood. Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. So, I've got this, and then, what we do is we create locations, and really, one of the things that, we tend to forget is because we're very visually based creatures, right? We are. We simply are. Go with your 5 sentences. What do they see? We've already established that. What do they hear? Is this place quiet? And even though there are people there, they're speaking in hushed tones. Why? Maybe because the area that you've already created is under the rule of a dark king, and people are if I say something, one of his shadow swordsmen are going to come out and whack me in the middle of the night in my farm, So I better talk only in hushed tones. Is it loud and boisterous? Taste. I'm not talking about licking a post, tastes like blood. But
too salty.
Is the food too salty? Is the food always too salty? Is this food freaking excellent? Is the food subpar? And then smell. This place smells like a crap heap. This place smells like freshly cut flowers, and that's when you start. And what this does is a domino effect. This place smells like freshly cut flowers. Okay. What do freshly cut flowers bring me? They bring me, I need to have flowers located around the place, so I add that to my description.
Just like with improving your side stories with Socratic method,
Socratic
we're doing
method.
it here.
We're doing it here again.
Why does this place smell like freshly cut flowers?
Exactly. And then, okay, so there's freshly cut flowers all around the location. Why? Because there's a maiden. There's a maiden who does it. She doesn't own the inn. She just works there, and she likes working there. She feels protected. She gets paid on time, doesn't get, assaulted. So, okay, now I've already got something about the owner. The owner clearly cares about his employees. Now I've got a place where heroes can really come, because if the owner's bad, heroes either have to overtake said owner and take bar from said owner and install better innkeeper, because your Superman cannot sit in the fortress of, well, no, he can't sit in the Fortress of Solitude. He can't sit in the headquarters of the Legion of Doom and be like, well, this is a fine establishment. Lex Luthor, how you doing? Having an okay day? Okay, see you around. They can't. They have to meet in the Hall of Justice, right? So if you've got this heroic thing going on, but I mean, like, if you're writing a story about wretched scum and villainy, right? Star Wars, boom. The shady bar with the really awful innkeeper is fantastic. Go for it. Get down with your bad self. So to a very good extent, let's stick with our maiden. And with our maiden being there and cutting the flowers and yada yada, do you have a character that has been, speaking about, it's one of their KYP, they're like, I'm inspired by stories of love. Whatever's going on in their life. And you were a storyteller who's comfortable with that. Like, I'm matured enough. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with telling a story of love, not just a story of anger, death, and destruction, but love. Because, man, that's hard storytelling. It is. It's so much, so intensive. So I go ahead and I'm gonna drop in my maiden, who looks at him and smiles. Nothing. Simple smile. Boom. Done. I'm not sure if you can hear my cat meowing through the recording. You probably can.
No, I don't think it's coming through.
Okay. All right. So the what we've done is exactly what Aaron said, Socratic method. And within 20 minutes, we have created a really, really vibrant inn. Right now, you have a unique location. Now, the thing was it worth it in time? It has to be a goal. If this is just a stopping point where the players get to sharpen their swords, get a meal before moving on to the next big baddie that they kill, and they're never coming back, and you really don't want them to, it's not like, man, I really want them a place to say.
Again, everything in moderation is really kind of what this comes down to, because you don't want every inn to be super duper special. Okay.
No.
Okay. Just like it can't rain every day, not everything that you do is going to be super duper special.
You have to pick and choose. Choose what gets your attention.
But like I said, you can introduce lore through the inn. You can do a lot of other things through the inn. Okay, let's say that your players have just been through a really, really tough stretch in the game, and you just need to have them blow off some steam. Okay.
Good bar fight.
Okay. Or
nothing like a good bar fight.
Give them an encounter. Somebody shoves someone. Okay, and your talker gets up and starts trying to talk them down. Okay, put the tension in the room, build a conflict that happens there. It doesn't have to be anything that makes the inn more lively in terms of visual, but the inn is now more of something that things are happening in the inn. We thought we were just staying here, and what I would highly suggest is, if you do this, is cheat on behalf of your players. Okay, you're dealing with drunk patrons. They can't hit crap. Okay, you're dealing with
let your players be gods.
Let your players be gods. Give your players that opportunity to blow off steam here, because if they blow off steam in this environment, they will not ruin.
Huge point.
They won't try to blow off steam in your main story when they feel like their backs have been against the wall the entire time.
Exactly. Don't let them blow off steam. you're creating a safe environment for them to blow off some steam. Okay. That's the goal. If that's the goal. So always remember your goals. If your goal for that inn is really to create a home for them, someplace they'll come to the end of every story, then yeah, look at Socratic method, look at really putting some time into that inn. If it's just a blow-off place where they're going to get into a bar fight because I know the Temple of Seven Deaths was really rough on them and they need to just beat the crap out of some things to get their confidence back, boom, bar fight. I am not putting a whole lot of time into this inn.
And you could have things where like they see the goat.
Yeah, you can have that.
You can see the goat crested shield there, and they go, "What's the goat crested shield about?" And somebody at the bar is like, "That's the crest of my family, you horse."
How do you know that? How don't you know that?
You can make these things fun, so not every element has to be like this super serious piece of lore, and when you touch it, you can see through the eyes of the Lich God. Like,
yeah, it doesn't.
It
doesn't.
You can have it be something silly like that. Again, put the levity in there when the levity needs to be there. Put the serious in there when you want the serious to be there, or build out a side story from it. Again, this is another good opportunity, I think, for if you have, like, let's say you've got a character who's pretty quiet at your table. They don't usually say very much. They tend to follow. They don't do. This is a good time when they step up. You're getting a bite to eat and a flagon of ale, and they go off to use the latrine, and somebody comes up and starts approaching them and just starts talking to them, or they go, "I recognize those robes. Those are the robes of my killer." And like now,
it's a ghost. Oh God, caught me with my pants down, quite literally.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do to one. And it's always fun to pass information to that player, whether useful or not useful, and see what they end up doing with that information. See if they come back to the other players. And then the other thing that I would always like is because people have to stop over at inns. They have to stop over at these mundane locations. When they go to sleep, have them wake up and like they're in like a labyrinth of like doom, like it's a haunted inn. Like you can do so many good things with it in terms of like making this like more than just the inn, and it can be more than just the description of what the inn looks like.
Yeah, inns are built of structures are built of the things that are in them. You always have to remember objectives whenever you're building a structure or an environment. What is the objective? Is the objective to get them into another story? Is it to scare the Jesus out of them? Suddenly that space station that they docked at that was so full of people yesterday is really a space monster that poses as one and can create elaborate illusions, I guess. While they digests you, whoa. Let that roll. So there is something. I have a funny pet peeve. I do. And I put this out to all my storytellers just so we can, as a community, start overcoming this problem, because I see this problem too much. I look at too many battle maps. I stare at them for hours, plotting out horrible things for my players.
I know what your problem is.
What is my problem, Aaron?
Where's the toilet?
Where's the freaking toilet? Oh my God, it is so overlooked in so many maps. I have literally seen a map of a museum, right? I was like, oh man, this is freaking perfect. There's no bathroom. Where are people supposed to pee?
Next to the Brontosaurus bones.
Yeah, let me just whip it out right here. Excuse me, ladies. Just no matter if you are in space, D&D can usually get away with it because they're like, the outhouse is outside. We don't have internal plumbing. But if you do Star Wars, if you do White Wolf, if you do
turn of the century,
anything where the modern toilet has been invented, you need to put in the pooper. For me, it's a pet peeve because I look at a map and I don't see a pooper. I'm like, this place isn't real. I've just lost. It takes 2 seconds. And I mean, like, you don't have to do a grandiose freaking talk about how beautiful the porcelain goddess is, but
Another side story here. Jared loves making his maps.
Yes.
Online. It's in some ways an unhealthy obsession for you.
It is.
But your look for assets has always led to you're like, I just can't find the water heater that I need.
I know. It's actually, I finally found an asset that will make for a water heater / a furnace. It will. I'm like, yes. After 5 years of searching, somebody finally made something that looks like a goddamn water heater, because people do forget the mechanical. And I guess this is something about buildings, and this is within topic. People forget the little things, like where's the mechanical room? If you're in a hospital, or, you know, and for D&D players, it's not so much. You know, God bless you, you have an advantage there, because they're like, you want a bath? There's a fire outside that you can start heating water and pouring it into this tub. Nope, there's no plumbing.
But depending on also the luxury style of you're in, you might have you know, a heater outside that connects to an indoor bath. I mean, like
it could, and you could make it cool like that.
Yeah, and there are things like that like, you know, don't simply just overlook them, because, you know, my players aren't going to worry about these things. Just like Jared said, like it's worth. I mean, it's worth the effort. If you're putting the effort into making the inn more and more realistic, include it.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're just looking to get a little extra oomph out of that inn, maybe you don't need to include it. Maybe you know, it's not super duper important right there. I mean, again, see what the time investment is for you to create these.
Right. And you know, the thing is with D&D, and for us, you know, people who play Star Wars or Star Trek, we can always be like, well, you know, the heating coil that runs along the floor generates the heat through photonic energy. I don't care. There needs to be a place where the heating coil obtains power. Okay? Their mechanical rooms and bathrooms are so widely forgotten in the RPG. Oh, you can tell how just like...
He's shaking.
If I could get you guys to, if I could get our community to do one thing, it would be install bathrooms and mechanical rooms, because you need a place to store these things. And they're not just sitting out there in the open doing nothing. They're very important. Trust me, if I want to interrogate somebody by, you know, slamming his head into a toilet and keep on flushing until he tells me what I want him to talk, when the bathroom is missing, I have a problem. But no. In all realism, if you do break away from anything above, you know, the invention of, I think his name was Crapper. Wasn't his name Crapper? Like Commode or whatever his name was, the inventor of the toilet. Anything that comes after the invention, people thought, now, like I said, you could get away with it in some areas. Like rural areas didn't have, some rural areas, like where I grew up, some people still don't have indoor toilets. They literally have outhouses. I mean, it is what it is, just a way of life out there, because nobody's dropping, you know, 17,000 tons of sewer line to get to Bob Thorson's house out in the middle of nowhere, you know. I was going to drop the BF, but I said no. Said no. But no, with maps, that's why I like mapping things out, because like I will stare at a map for 2 seconds and say, what is missing? What is missing, Jared? What is missing, Jared? Where does heat? Where does cold? Where did the comfort things come from? Where does the crapper go? You need to have these things, because trust me, your player is going to pick up on it. And it's just a 2-second thing that, you know, I think will... oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm acting like adding toilets is going to change the entire RPG community. We as a community...
It's not.
It will. All right? I'm simply saying, like, this is an important point. All right? Everyone's worried about, like... I have seen detailed maps where I can engage in, you know, where there's defilade, you know, which is cover, you know, where's cover and concealment. They know, I've seen GMs who have like, oh, well, if the goblin is on this side of the crack, if these talented, you know, he has 3/4 cover, you know, if these talented GMs put one iota of that brain power towards, instead of cover and concealment, to, I don't know, where does a person poop? Imagine the things we can do as a community.
Oh my God.
There was my tirade. I apologize to all of our listeners. I promise I will never engage in this tirade again. I've been holding it in for over a year, so be proud of me.
He now has a medium to express it.
I do.
To express his fury over lack of poopers.
Lack of poopers. But back to the real thing, work your way from outside in, mapping it out, cool little quirks, okay? Always make sure that you've got a story behind a quirk. Don't forget your 5 senses. So it's see, taste, touch, feel, the whole 9 yards. When I say feel, some people will be like, well, it feels gritty against the touch. No, is it cold or is it hot? Give me the basics first. Always remember the basics before you go to the advanced, and just remember that structures are full of people and stories. In the end, the structure and knowing it is great, but trust me, what your characters are going to latch onto are the people in that environment, are the mood that environment brings. And that's really what's going to make your location unique. It's not whether or not those walls are stone. It's the maiden who cuts fresh flowers and looks at the player who's always wanted a romantic story, because that is going to bring a smile to their face. Boom.
Boom.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I don't have anything else to add to this. So do you have anything else, Jared? Do you want to?
I just mic dropped. I mic dropped and you made me come back.
Hey, I was just going to say, do you want to rant for another 10 minutes about toilets?
I can.
No, we're not going to do that.
Give me the open forum. I'll do it. We can do better.
If you have any thoughts about battle maps, missing toilets, you can contact us at levelupyourgaming@gmail.com or facebook.com/levelupyourgaming. Or, give us some feedback on the episode topic, or, tell us about a topic that you want to hear. We're always happy to talk about different topics. And, it does challenge us sometimes to be able to look at different topics and to be able to look at all this. Yes.
And Gary, again, thank you for coming back with feedback and that nice letter. And just so you know, you finally gave Jared the platform to stand up and talk about his toilet issues. So your episode, will always be remembered as the toilet episode. You got a special episode. They're gonna be like, the toilet episode, that was for Gary.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't want that one remembered for that, but
totally do.
Gary, thank you very much for listening, and thank you to all of our listeners for listening. In addition to podcast sites, we're also on YouTube, so
smash that like button.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you. Also, share with your friends. Like I said, go review the podcast if you have an opportunity or a moment. It would help make it just more searchable and findable for any other people who are looking around for the podcast as well. But that's going to wrap it up for us here today, and we'll be back next week with another episode. So for Jared, I'm Aaron. Have a great week, guys.
Have a great week, everyone.